What up, it's your boy, the Truth 31. Hit like, subscribe for all that DC goodness on your face, neck, and chest. And today I am reviewing Batman Earth 1. Now, if you haven't read Batman Earth 1, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Go to your local comic book store and pick this shit up right now. It's written by Jeff Johns, art by Gary Frank, who is phenomenal. And this, if you've seen the Batman trailer with Robert Pattinson, then you will get a pretty good idea of what you're getting into with this book. This is essentially Robert Pattinson's Batman if it was told in comic book form. And in this version, we get a slightly different twist on Batman, Bruce Wayne's origin. We are introduced to a lot of Batman villains early on, which, for example, one of them, which as a teenager, Bruce Wayne is friends with Jessica Dent. Yes, that Jessica Dent, who is related brother, is Harvey Dent. Yes, and in this version, Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne have a sort of rivalry right from the beginning. So you can already tell where this story is going. And I didn't even know that just that Harvey Dent has a sister. But in this version, Harvey Dent does have a sister, Jessica Dent, and it's cute because I think in this version, Bruce Wayne and Jessica Dent have like this flirty relationship. So again, it's sowing the seeds later on in the story. And also in the story, we're introduced to the Penguin, who is the mayor of Gotham. And something happens towards the end of the book. I'm not gonna ruin it because I want you to read it. But it's fucking awesome. I'm just like, holy shit. It gets dark and it gets awesome real quick towards the end. And also we find out, which is very interesting, that the Arkham Asylum, the Arkham, motif, the Arkham name is really interesting because in this version, Martha, why did you say that name? Martha Wayne, her mother actually killed her husband, actually like had like a mental breakdown and killed her husband and was sent to Arkham Asylum, which is like fucking crazy. And that's how the whole Arkham Asylum, I don't want to say tradition, but the whole Arkham Asylum line got started, and it's really fucking interesting. That whole backstory really is really fucked up. It's really dark, and it's really interesting. I'm like, wow, because again, it's putting a brand new spin on the whole Arkham Asylum line that I never knew I wanted, and I never knew that was so interesting. But the writer really does a great job on illustrating what it's all about and that whole history with Arkham Asylum, starting with Bruce Wayne. So you can already tell that the Arkham Asylum like Arkham Asylum is like really like running in Bruce's bloodline, and it really shows why the Batman Bruce Wayne family, well, not family, well, yeah, family, because it started with Martha Wayne and it passed it on to her son. You can really see how or why Bruce Wayne is fucking nuts, is fucking crazy, and why it would make sense for Bruce Wayne to put on a bat costume and to see that, oh, Bruce Wayne is not mentally stable. He's not all mentally there. So that's a really good explanation of why, of where Bruce's craziness and his anger comes from, because it started with Martha Wayne and it passed on to her son. So again, it's passing on that bloodline, that sense of mental illness that's being passed to Bruce Wayne. And it's really intriguing. It's really interesting to see how that story plays out in the later series. And we're also introduced to Barbara Gordon, obviously Jim Gordon's daughter, and it's really she kind of like looks up to Batman in a way, since Batman is starting out and he's becoming like this urban legend. Barbara Gordon finds out about this Bruce Wayne, and she becomes inspired by what Bruce Wayne is doing, and she takes up martial arts and stuff like that. So again, it's sowing the seeds for later on down the books for Batgirl to look up to Batman and want to become him, and maybe like train under him. But again, that's gonna happen later on down the line, because this Batman is a fucking rookie. He's making mistakes. He's fucking messing up crime scenes when he walks in. He's like, he gets his ass kicked from time to time. The police don't trust him. Again, it's really setting up this more realistic human approach to Bruce Wayne and Batman, who's not the Dark Knight that we all know and love, who knows everything, who's perfect, who knows how to solve a crime scene with ease. Again, that's going to happen later on, but we're really seeing, this is like Batman Begins. This is like the better version of Batman Begins with a more comic book touch to it, and I love it. And again, we're also introduced to Jim Gordon, obviously, and Harvey Dent, not Harvey Dent, Bullock. And we're used to Bullock from the animated series, which is like all like, which is who's like all drunk, doesn't want to be there, fucking hates Batman, hates working at the GCPD, who just tired of all this shit. Well, this version of Bullock is actually like, uppity, really happy, outgoing, wants to do his job, is ready to be a detective. He's basically new to it all. So he's just like, he's all gung ho. He's like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do this. Like, I want to solve a crime. And of course, later on with all the bad shit that starts happening with all the crime and the corruption, we get to see the downfall of Harry Bullock. We get to see him like really just like crash and burn, and just like and the toll of Gotham City that's really weighing down on Bullock. We get to see him like really become like the Bullock that we all know, who's like drunk, out of it, doesn't want to be there anymore. So again, this whole book is a nice character progression of the characters that we all know and love. It also puts a nice little spin. Again, it's basically like an origin story for all these characters who we know and will become down the line. So again, I love how the whole approach to all these characters from the beginning that we all know until the end, that they become the characters that we all know and love. So it's fucking awesome. And also obviously Alfred, badass Alfred. I love Alfred in this book, bro. This version of Alfred is sort of like the Jeremy Irons in BVS, who has and sort of Michael Caine in a way, because obviously we know that Alfred has like this badass, CIA background. And in this version, he's like hard edged, takes in, Bruce Wayne, even though he doesn't really want to at the beginning, and really starts to train him. And it's like, hey, you want to go out there? You want to fight crime? You want to get your ass kicked? Well, not by me. I'm going to fucking train you. And he beats the shit out of Bruce Wayne. And again, we get to see that relationship blossom and grow while Alfred is just beating the shit out of Bruce Wayne, training him, wanting him to become, the Batman that we all know and love. And of course, at the end, I'm not going to spoil anything, but we really see that Alfred really cares about this kid. And again, it's all about character development in this book, and I fucking love it. It's awesome to see. It's so good. It's so cool. And obviously, we get to see the classic villains like Jonathan Crane. We see Killer Croc here, which is like awesome. I love the design for Killer Croc. It sort of looks like the animated series. It looks like the Arkham Origins Killer Croc, but it's not like too cartoonish. It's not. Again, the art is really fucking cool because I love what Gary Frank does. It's almost like this real world, not too cartoonish, almost like sort of like Alex Ross, where it's just like really, really good. Like you could tell, like it almost looks like a real person, but it's not. It still has that cartoonish look to it. Not cartoonish, but still has that comic book realism to it, which looks fucking awesome. I just love it. I love the tone. I love the style. I love the writing. Again, making all these characters likable and relatable, and we all see where they're coming from. We see the character progression, and we see the downfall of some of these characters and what they will become. And it's written really, really well. I love the characterization of all these characters, especially Batman. Obviously, my favorite. I love how this Batman, like I said, is young. He's a rookie, still angry, still doesn't know the ropes. He's still learning the ropes. And I love how they're not afraid to make Batman look like a dumbass. like they're not afraid to make Batman look less cool, because again, this is him just starting out. This is the beginning. So he's going to make mistakes. He's going to fuck up from time to time. He's not going to know what to do all the time. He's not going to say all the right things. He's going to make mistakes. And again, I love how it's the relationship between Alfred and Bruce Wayne in this, where it's just like, again, it's that, father-son dynamic, where it's just like, look, Alfred's like, look, I'm going to teach you the ropes. I'm going to teach you, like, not to get fucked up. I don't want you to fucking die. It's basically, so I'm going to teach you how to fight and shit like that. And again, it's that back and forth between Alfred and Bruce that really sells this book. And it's also fun to see all the characters and what they go through, and see how all they work within the same frame of Gotham City. And I love how Gotham City is a character in this book as well. Again, it's fucking awesome. And again, towards the end, we see, the lead up to like the big bad. And of course, it's the Riddler, which was like, when I first read it, I was like, holy shit, like the Riddler that's setting up the Riddler. And this Riddler is really dark, is really fucking disturbing, sort of like what Matt Reeves is doing with the Batman. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Reeves took like inspiration from all these comics, especially Batman Earth One, because this book is really, really reminiscent of what we're gonna see in 2021 with Robert Pattinson's Batman. So it's a big cliffhanger, and it's fucking awesome. So yeah, those are my thoughts. If you love Batman, if you want to see an original take of Batman, I highly suggest Batman Earth One. Go pick this shit up. You won't be disappointed, especially if you're a Batman fan. So those are my thoughts. Smash that like button, subscribe, hit me up, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff if you want to continue the DC conversation. And as always, truth out.